Hello, welcome back. Hey, sister.
Hey, hello, hello.
Hi there. So, for those of you that may not know us, you're new to us. I'm Jill Hyman. I'm a leadership and embodiment coach. I help corporate women to find their voice and their visibility so they can live the most fulfilled life of their dreams.
That's awesome. Yeah, you do. Hi, and I am Stacy Middlebrooks, your inner power priestess and purpose igniter. All that means is that I help corporate women in STEM who are brain based become body based so they can live their best dreams and be fulfilled in life right now.
Hey, we're coming at you with this episode. Around judging self sabotage, we're calling it Judgment Day because as
Mm.
we always prep before we come in to speak to you, Stacy and I take some time to land our planes, our vessels, land our planes so we can be here and then be here with all of you. There was a thread coming through that is all around this, which is so relevant for me on so many things. And I know you too, but when I want something, I want it now. I have very little patience. Maybe you can resonate with me. Give me a comment below so I know I'm not the only one. But it is a difficult pattern for me when results don't happen at the speed in which I think that they should happen. And I don't think I'm alone in this. I know this has
Mm-mm.
been a reality for you. It's a reality for most really ambitious and highly driven women, all the women that are in this community, actually, and are still community. It's all of you. And I just think we're at the season in our collective, which we're calling this collective still, right? So in this specific collective frequency, I'm feeling are at a place where, and you said it earlier, Stacy, of it takes what it takes.
Yep.
And whatever that is, what is the level? And this is for myself, like, what is my level that I can trust knowing that it just takes one?
Yeah.
And
It
I
just
was,
takes one.
and I was joking earlier before we hit record. So I'll repeat it because it might be valid for any of those of you out there that are that are in the dating game. You might be looking for your significant other. I was in a real place when I was still dating before I met my husband. And I was just so over it. I'm like, I have to get on these dating apps. How am I going to meet anybody? I live in the country, literally. Like, what am I going to be doing? It's going to take forever. And I was reminded that it literally only takes one. It takes one man
Mm-hmm.
to then be my husband. And I've held on to that nugget from a coach years ago. And I think maybe it can support all of us right now, just
Yeah, I
like
think
your
this is so timely for lots of people. Obviously, the dating example is going to be supportive as a reminder, like, hey, it just takes one. It just takes one. But also in other areas of life, like you're waiting for your big break. You're waiting for the thing to happen in your life, like whatever it is, and you're tired. Like it's tiring to keep pressing forward and you're not seeing the fruits of your labor and all that. Like it just takes one. It just takes one post and your whole business skyrockets. It just takes one right offer and you have found your tribe of clients. It just takes one right mentor or coach that helps you unlock something and you soar. Like it just takes one. And it does take what it takes. So like this dissertation and we are not friends right now. But we will be friends again a little bit later today. Same thing. Like it just takes one. Oh, I've been in such angst about meeting deadlines, about analyzing my data and writing up my results and all of this stuff. I'm like, why does this have to be so laborious? And the reality is, yeah, it just took one comment from my chair to spark a new idea. And now analysis is like super easy. Like now I know a different direction to go, but it just took that one moment. That doesn't mean it's any less work that I need to do. It's just going to be less complicated and I can do it with ease and I can see like where everything is going. It just takes one, but it does take what it takes. I still need to commit my 3 to 4 hours a day or more. It still takes that, but it does take what it takes. Like there are no shortcuts to your purpose. There are no shortcuts to the thing that's going to light you up in life, your significant other that you're looking for or trying to be prepared to receive, whatever that is for you. It will take what it takes right on time. is when you met who is now your husband right on time, because you had gone through all that you have gone through, because you had started to cultivate more safety in your own body to be able to let someone in, because you've had all these experiences, right? It took what it took to get you prepared and ready for what was yours. It's going
Yeah.
to take what it takes.
You're onto something here around creating the safety. And the thing I want to also blossom out as we are in spring is this part about it taking what it taking, but also don't forget what Stacy was saying in there is you have to do your part. Like
Yes.
you gotta also show up. And so
Yeah.
I think this is so relevant wherever you're at. You could be a corporate woman, you want to get a promotion, you want to know your map to your career path. Maybe you want to completely shift industries. Maybe you
Yeah.
want to completely switch functions within your org. And one thing that I will say is doing your part also means using your voice and literally not being afraid to be in that squeaky wheel. The amount of times that I have the same conversation, different words I'm using, different tones I
Mhm.
use, different body language. I am so repetitive and clear on the things that I desire, but I don't know how they're going to happen, but I am repetitive on ways in which I show up. And there's obviously always parts we can all do better on, and we can sit here and dissect that. But that's where then you're also, I mean, is that becoming a sabotage where you're not able to show up and even do your part anymore? And the other thing, and then you can like elaborate because I know this is percolating some things, is if you all are the lone wolf. Stacy and I talked about this a lot in episodes from 2024. No, I am really not joking around anymore. There is no space for the lone wolfing. Really, because look at exactly what you said. Is it took one comment from your chair that sparked an entire new wavelength of probably like your entire dissection of the whatever the point of your dissertation that you're working on. And that's all of it, all it took. But if you wouldn't have reached out and had that conversation with your chair, there is no spark. If we're not
Mm-mm.
raising our hand, and I'm so glad you and I were reconnecting now. We have this like voice text thing. We took a break on it, and there's just something really potent, I think, to have the space.
It is really potent. And I love how you always remind me in a gentle way. I see you
Sometimes
over there, lone wolfing. I see you, because you'll say after I share or after I bring the vulnerability and I don't just continue to isolate, which is self sabotage, I'll step in and I'll voice what's happening, what's going on, all those things. And what you will usually say is, thank you for sharing this with me. I'm so glad that we have this space where we can come in and speak our heart and speak our mind. It's so good. It is a really nice subconscious nugget where I'm hearing you say, good, get out of all of that lone wolfing, because that was a lot that you're carrying on your own. You don't have to. Like, I'm not here to solve your problems for you, but you also get to be seen and witnessed and held in the stuff that you're going through. And look, I might be able to solve something for you, but I will never know if you don't say something. So it is important in terms of not self sabotaging to remember that we're hardwired for connection. We were never designed to, oh, I got to figure it out, figure it out. That is a lie. It is a fallacy. It is just wrong. You are not meant to figure anything out. We already know. Like, it's in us. We already know. And especially if you are a woman of faith, you pray, you meditate, whatever you do, then you definitely know. You just get to still yourself, be completely present, and then do the thing that is probably hard for all of us. Wait. But like you said, Jill, while you're waiting, you can't just be like, yeah, I'm just waiting on everything to shake out and come knocking at my door. Sometimes that happens. But for those who are in scripture, it also says faith without works is dead. So you sit around like, I believe this is going to happen for me. Oh, I believe my dissertation is going to get finished. Huh? It's not going to get finished without me working on it. I can't just sit here and like be finished, be done.
it's
You
like
are not going to call in this amazing husband of yours. Like, I'm just going to wait for him to show up at my door. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever told you this. I have one friend where that actually did happen to her.
I
And we
cannot.
laughed so hard because I
That's
was like,
hilarious.
oh my God, you're going to marry this man. Where did you meet him? She's like, literally, he knocked on my door. He was here to fix the HVAC. And that turned out to be her husband. But she had also been doing other work on herself to be open to receive who this
Well,
person
look, she
is.
needed to call to get her HVAC fixed. She
See?
was still doing something.
See? She was sitting up in Atlanta, hot as all get out, and like, all right,
Sweaty.
let me call. Let me figure it out in terms
Listen,
of
that's
what to do.
the other piece is we really need to recognize that it is self-sabotaging when you stay in isolation. That is a
It
form of
is.
self-sabotage. And there's the reciprocity, the universal law of reciprocity that also we must not forget, which goes into play when we're going after something that we really crave, whatever that thing is. And
Yes.
then it's friendship. And this, it's a both way street. And I think
Hmm.
that's the other thing I was getting when you were sharing, and you come in and you get a share and take notice. Y'all, like, are you the friend that is just constantly holding and the other friend might be coming constantly like, okay, I'm just processing or I just need space, da da da. Notice, are you getting really annoyed? Are you like, man, she's always coming to me. I'm always holding space. She must like, I'm not feeling relieved after our conversation.
Hmm.
Notice those things because you are self-sabotaging yourself by you not opening up. And also, if you're in a relationship where you're not feeling safe and or secure to share with said person, that should probably not be a relationship you're spending your energy in either, because we are in a
Mm-mm.
season where there's no time for that either. So
No, we're trimming the fat in this part of life. Like
it's all
just
done.
we can't. And the other part, it's just the other side of the same coin of this self-sabotage is the isolation. Well, it's the oversharing. Like, are you the one who's going to every single person who will even listen? This was going on, this was going on, blah, 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 blah. Like vomiting all over everybody with your challenges and issues. So much so that when you're hearing good words of wisdom from all these different places, you no longer know your own voice and your own wisdom because now you've sought out so much feedback, so much support. I need help. I need help. I need help. When really what you may need is to find that one or two or whatever works for you, trusted partnership, friendship, sistership to be able to step into and to be able to be held there and witness there and to take those few nuggets in and still sit with yourself and know, like, okay, who's speaking? That's not my voice. That doesn't sound aligned. That doesn't feel aligned. That was helpful what she said. And here's where I am with it. Here's where it lands. The oversharing and the isolating,
Yeah.
they're the same coin, just two different sides. And I find so much, particularly with, I'm sure it's a whole lot of women, but particularly with women in corporate and in my space, particularly women who are in corporate, who are in STEM roles, because there is so much isolation just built into science and technology, engineering, and math. Like, I figure my own hypothesis out. I try out my own experiments and do my own thing. There's also collaboration that's available to you as well if you are willing, but even over collaborating, like too many chefs in the kitchen, dial it in. But the self sabotage is real, whether you're on one side or the other or somewhere in between, it's real. And that's what we want to bring up to you is just making you aware that it's out there and it can be sneaky and it can show up in lots of different ways. But yeah, like Jill said, are you the friend who's always like holding space for everyone, 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 and keeping everything to yourself? Are you the friend who's like constantly, I need help, I need help, I need to tell everybody what's going on with me? There's some self sabotage built in there, and you get to sit with it and go, what's really happening here? What do I really need?
And I bet, I don't know, I'm not a better, but I wager, I do
I'm
not
not a better.
but I wager that there is some judgment going on and along holding hands with this self-sabotage. You are either
Absolutely.
judging the person coming to you, you are judging yourself on not doing something or not saying something or saying something. It's wild, y'all. Our brains will be wild, trying to do anything because all of it can be scary
Self
when we
sabotage
are,
comes with judgment. They just go hand in hand.
they're like hand in hand, skipping,
Right.
popping in all the puddles.
They love each other so much and they feed off of each other. Judgment is like, let me pour into you. Self-sabotage is like, yeah, give me more. And then let me throw some of this on you. You're like, oh, yeah. Now let me judge some more. It just goes
I'll
around
tell
and
you,
around.
it's so important, and I love the word you used, sistership, which maybe will update our upcoming series for you all to sistership. It's really incredibly impeccable to hone in on who are these friends in your
Hmm.
group. And I read something really sweet the other day about friendships and like those that have come into your life and the time that they've come into your life. Because I've moved around a lot. You've moved around a lot. I don't even really have friends from, I'm honestly trying to think from my college years, anyone that I stay in touch with, or high school. I stay in touch with a couple girlfriends, and that's on me. That's my lone wolfing. Like it has been very clear. I realized it at a particular time. But now the friends that I have feel like they have been walking with me for a really long time,
Hmm.
even though like you weren't with me in the high school,
Mm-mm.
that the big basketball tournament that like, like you weren't there. You didn't celebrate that with me. But
Hmm.
I sure as heck know that you know the feelings of
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
things I
yeah.
share with you, all of the like celebrations, the brags. Y'all better believe I come to Stacy and multiple times will be like, be in a decent place because I got a vent for you. The power of having a place
Hmm.
to vent unfiltered is so important. And
Hmm.
this is going to support you with the judgment. But to Stacy's point, and looping back to what I was starting with, know those people who are in your circle and just do a quick tune in. Because I don't go to Stacy with everything. I go to our friend, I go to Sylvia, I go to my dear friend Birdie. Like there's other women, and I just do a quick hone in really fast. It's like I don't even think about it at this point. I'm like, this is Stacy.
Hmm.
This is for her. This is for, because that also eliminates it feeling like you're always coming to the person. If you can just do a quick, like, who could hold this now?
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up too, because I'm sure you've heard this a lot too. I work with a lot of women, no surprise, who lone wolf it through life. But part of their challenge has been
Not
that
shocking. 0%.
their real challenge, well, part of their real challenge is they tend to feel dropped or not met, or that other people can't really hold them because they appear to have so much held together. Like, I've got it together, I got it together. So, yeah, in their friend groups or wherever they are, people come to them and it's easy for them to just like hold the space or give guidance if asked, all of that. But it's like, well, where do I get to go? Because I took it here to this place that was trusted and loving, and that person, like, no fault of their own, they, like, they had nothing for me. Not that I wanted advice
Oof.
or guidance, but like I couldn't even be met or held in the way that would be important for me. So that's a real thing too. And that's why it's important, as Jill was saying, like really tune in, like where that is for you. And do not be surprised if it's not someone you've grown up with your whole life and you're just assuming, like, well, we've known each other since pre-K or whatever. We, of course, know each. Maybe, maybe not. And maybe also don't make the assumption that it is your significant other. Everything is not for your significant other. They are not the be all end
Listen,
all of
listen
how you
up.
need to be held and supported. Like, they are there to do the work in your life that they are there to do. They're not there to be like, people say, oh, she's my everything. He's my everything. And look, I like the way that sounds. Like, that sounds like, that's good. In real life, like for real, um, you're not set up or designed to be your significant other's therapist, coach, mentor, doctor, psychologist, best friend, ever. Okay, like all the things. First of all, that's a lot of pressure. Oh, and the dynamics are just so very different. So don't make the assumptions that just because you have certain people in your life who are occupying certain places, that that's the place for you to take everything. Do the tune in, like Jill said, and maybe you go, oh, yeah, okay, that's not for my husband. That's for my girlfriend. That's for my sister. That's for like, oh, okay, got it. I can't tell you how many times it feels so good to be in a place in my marriage where my husband can say, yeah, I think this might be for one of your girlfriends. Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Because I know I'm going to get exactly what I need there. He's going to do the very best he can because he always does. And there is something in the feminine, natural feminine realm that he just will not be able to give me. And I can respect that. Same with him. Like, oh, I've never been a man before, and I have never been a black man before. I don't know. I've never been a Marine before. Like, there are certain lived experiences I don't have to be able to offer the kind of holding that he might need. And like, yeah, he might need to go speak to one of his Marine buddies. He might need to go hang out with whatever. The whole point is be judicious in where you bring your stuff and trust that it's a nourishing reciprocal relationship, but show up. And yep, you might end up in some situations you don't want to be in, like, I probably shouldn't have told that person. I wasn't met, I wasn't held, but don't let that deter you. Like, okay, the kind of person I really need to support me is not that kind of person. It's this kind of person. And go make yourself available there.
And it's that trial, I think, that a lot of us miss out on. And I recently have been trialing with that of showing myself and a
Oh,
little
yeah.
more of myself to different people. Your body will very quickly signal to you if that was a okay, we're aligned,
Mm-hmm.
person, place, whatever it might be, right, to share. And your body will also very quickly be like, yeah, no, because I noticed this, because then I was going into judging myself with different things I shared and the way in which I shared it. Maybe I was like, y'all, I can be intense. I'm an intense person and I love
Yes.
it. And sometimes is with some intensity. And I can very quickly, I am at the point where I will refuse to dim my intensity. And if it's just too intense for you, I really I don't know what
Yeah.
to tell you at this point, because for far too long, too many of us have been dimming that. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of opportunity available when we can just show up authentically. But it's back to the point of be judicious, like Stacey said, of share. It's gonna not feel great as you
Mm-hmm.
share and you keep getting this feedback of that person. Okay, that feels good. Okay, I could cultivate this there, could cultivate that there. But without the trials, right? It just takes one. It takes one really, really potent conversation that then can turn to more conversations, or that turns to the relationship you desire, the promotion, the
Mm-hmm.
career, the client, the contract, all of the things.
It just takes that one, but it will take the trial. It will. And so, yeah, it takes what it takes, as we said before. And you just made me think of this too. That is also how we self sabotage, is because we'll try it out. I'm like, oh, I got
Oh
burned.
yeah.
I'm like, no. Okay. So, yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going. But also, especially in corporate spaces, right? There's the dimming to make everybody feel comfortable. Like, you can't be that intense and this and the other. Okay, that is a form of self sabotage when you are doing that, for sure. And on the other side of that too is hey, that's not my natural energy or vibration to be that intense. But in order to be seen in these very stereotypical corporate spaces, I have to, like, and that's also a form of self sabotage. I actually call this self abandonment for your
Mhm.
survival in these spaces. And none of it's good. None of it is helpful. But people say, well, how do we change the corporate culture? Well, culture is a thing, and we each get to change it by how we show up. And it is really about our lived experience. That is the culture. It isn't like some core values on a wall or on a website. Like, we have a culture of this and blah, blah. You say you do, but is that the true lived experience in operating day in and day out and all of that? That's how you change the culture, change how you're showing up, change how you're allowing yourself to be met. If someone is demanding you to be more intense, you got to be intense, and that is not your natural flow, you don't change the culture by being more intense. Then you're continuing to perpetuate what this is. And the exact opposite is true. But all of these are forms of self sabotage if we give in to them. But you have to be consciously aware of what's happening. You have to be able to say, hey, wait a minute. I had this trusted relationship with this mentor at work, And that mentor was really trying to turn me into a clone of himself or herself. You got to ask for the raise. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I'm like, well, that's not my style. That's not me. That's not even what mentorship is supposed to be about. It's really just transfer of knowledge and skills. And so that I can do it my way, but I'm doing the thing that will help me. Anyway, I share all this to say, beware of these sneaky ways that self-sabotage can show up. And it's so baked into how we live life in this world. And especially if you're in a corporate space or any kind of professional space, it's just baked in there. So yeah, as Jill said, tune in. Like, am I going to be self-sabotaging or abandoning myself if I show up the way that is expected? Is this really where I want to pour my energy into that way? Are there people who can support me as I navigate through this? And how do we develop trust? Like, start with small scale stuff. Like, you don't have to go to some coworker you never even spoke to before with your deepest, darkest, heaviest secret. Like, no, start with small ways of building trust. But all of that comes with self-trust first. And the more self-trust you can cultivate, then the more you'll be able to tune in quickly. Like, oh, I can trust, can't trust, or don't want to trust. It will just happen. But it does take what it takes. You have to go through it to get to it.
And on that, y'all, some of y'all might be replaying parts of this because it's that good. But if you want a dialed in experience from us, we have an opportunity. As every episode, please like, share, send to someone you think this would support. And if you do want a more dialed in experience with Stacey and I, we have created that for you. It's available at our website, stilloriginalpodcast.com. Scroll down, find your way to Patreon. You can become a Lighthouse listener. You could also become a sister of Still, in which you're just really a person supporting our mission of being the bridge. And then if you're not in our community yet, come on in. That's at the website
What you
too.
waiting for? Let's
Be on
go.
the inside. We're
Come on.
here to greet you. And that's all for today. Oh my gosh. I was like, that's all, folks.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah, it was happening.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks. We will be back next week, same time, same place, wherever you listen or tune in or watch us over on YouTube. And we're sending you a lot of love.
For now.